We are at the Quail, and today we will be checking out the coolest supercars and hypercars of 2026 and next year 2027. This is going to be epic. We are here early for media access, so some of the cars are still under covers, things are being set up, but I will be taking you on a full tour showing you all the new reveals, all the cars on display here at one of the most insane car shows during Monterey Car Week. This is a fantastic way to start with the new GR GT. Toyota is getting back into the supercar game, which they really haven't been in since the Lexus LFA, which is of course now legendary, but this is a very different formula under the Gazoo Racing brand. We've got the tremendously long hood with the rear-wheel drive proportions here. So cool to see a production intent car in person. Only seen photos. They've got the GT3 race car. Honestly, this hood is so crazy long. It reminds me kind of the SLS proportions. It is so low and wide. This one here finished in silver. You can see lots of vents and details. Under the hood, 4-liter twin-turbo V8, 641 horsepower total output. Scoops here on the shoulder. That actually is a little bit reminiscent of LFA to me, but again, totally different formula, different kind of car. This thing is so wide and low. The massive quad exhaust tips back here and the GR branding. These will be sold actually at Lexus dealerships, extremely limited. They're saying like 300 cars a year, but it's not supposed to be a one-year limited run because it's a homologation car, and every year they go racing, they got to keep building these. So we'll expect to see these for a couple years probably is my guess, but you're not going to see many of them because it will be very, very rare, very hard to get. Full carbon fiber Recaro buckets, red seatbelts there. Wow, super low seating position from the looks of it. We've got the carbon side skirt here, the GR GT logo. That is really cool. I love seeing actual physical buttons and toggles. It's not just all touchscreens. There's a quick peek inside the GR GT. So cool to finally see this in person. Unsurprisingly, there are a lot of Ferraris here. Bunch of F40s over there, we'll get to those. But right here, Enzo, SF90XX, but this is really cool. This is the Ferrari J50. So Ferrari will do one-offs and few-offs, similar to Lamborghini with their few-off series cars where they rebody and make an ultra-limited low production run. This right here, the J50, was actually a Japanese market-specific special one to commemorate, I think, 50 years there. It's based off a 488 Spider. It does not have a roof at all. We've got the twin-turbo V8 back here, and it gets completely unique custom bodywork. The J50, I'm actually kind of surprised, but also not surprised to see one of these here because it was, from what I recall, a Japanese market specific special one, but it is here at the Quail. I guess I shouldn't be surprised because Monterey Car Week is an event where people will literally ship in cars from all over the world. Look at this thing. This is the new Bugatti one-off, the third from their Solitaire series. This is based off the Bolide. The proportions are also just insane. It costs probably the GDP of a small country, but Bugatti doing their one-offs, so as the quad-turbo W16.
Going forward, our strategy is clear: to create exceptional cars for exceptional customers and ensuring exclusivity in rarity in everything that we do. Today, it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce the next car in this lineage. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Aston Martin Veyron. It's not only the most powerful V12 front-engine car from Aston Martin, it's also the most powerful front-engine V12 production car in the world. And it represents everything that a modern Aston Martin special should be. It's bold, it's beautiful, it's bespoke, and it is ballistic. At its heart is our renowned 5.2-litre V12 engine, now producing 850 PS and 1,000 Newton meters of torque. Its body structure is our lightweight aluminium version of our platform, and the body is full carbon fibre, and I'm sure that many customers will specify it with exposed carbon. The powertrain and chassis have been fully optimised, and particularly in conjunction with our GT race programme, where we've calibrated the gearbox to give absolute exhilaration, driver connection and driver confidence.
So here we go, one of the first surprise reveals at the Quail, the new Aston Martin Veyron, another one of their ultra limited special cars. They say it's got the most powerful front engine V12, over 800 horsepower, so likely based off of the Vanquish, but completely new custom bodywork that looks wildly aggressive. Such a different personality compared to vehicles like the Valhalla, right? That mid-engine supercar, a very brutish, aggressive looking front end, all carbon fiber. So they said, I'm sure customers will be speccing these in exposed carbon fiber, with this one with the crazy color shifting paint fade finish is wild. We've got this carbon front end with these like vertical blades of carbon fiber, the headlights there, Aston logo. This thing is really, really aggressive looking. Very similar in the vein of the Valor, the Valiant, these ultra limited ones, really evoking an older era of the more brutish Aston Martin design. No idea on price, I'm sure millions of dollars for the ultra special VIPs. Look at the carbon exposed there on the hood. A couple other details I'm noticing. We still have the subtle Aston Martin taillight shape, right, where it curves just a little bit up. Honestly, these exhaust tips are so cool. The double exhaust tips, the upper and lower. I feel like most people are gonna see those because they look like cannons, and then the subtle ones down below for the twin turbo V12. No rear window. That seems to be a trend recently, right? So there's a camera. You can see a camera right there. It'll likely project to the mirror is my guess. Yep, and then they get rid of the rear windshield. So back there is just nothing. No need for rear visibility. Whoa, I just noticed the headliner. Look at that pattern. It's a bunch of little like fading pointy triangle arrows. Same thing on the seats right here. That looks 3D printed on the center console. That's like additive manufacturing with metal. And then this color, wow, the fade. Every angle that you look at it, it's different. We got some darker shades here, and then just turning over to the roof there, more carbon fiber, it fades to like a more reddish gold, bronze, purple color. That is a pretty spectacular paint. You can do some wild things with Aston Martin configurations with the Q program, custom paints, full carbon, tinted carbon. Some of the Valhalla specs that have been revealed that are out here, customer cars, are absolutely crazy. Like tinted blue carbon across the whole car, tinted green carbon fiber. This one is all black carbon, tan interior. I think this will be extremely desirable in the future because it's just so much more usable, right? Like I mentioned, the Valkyrie is pure race car. That thing is so intense, so over the top, like the AMG 1. They're actual race cars, right? That you can just barely make street legal, put a license plate on them. This is like a conventional all-round supercar, hypercar. You can take it on a road trip, you can drive it, you can track it and have fun. Anyways, Aston Martin is doing some pretty amazing things right now. You can see how the Valhalla has a much more curvy design, obviously mid-engine layout, completely different proportions. This one here in full exposed carbon fiber, 4-liter twin turbo V8 back there with a hybrid system. They call this a supercar. I think this is arguably hypercar level. I mean, the power, the price, the rarity, but the different sides of Aston Martin. You have this now. We've got, again, the more classic GT cars here with the Vanquish. Aston Martin certainly loves their V names. We've got Vanquish, Vantage, Valhalla, Veyron, Valor, Valkyrie, and then there's a couple of DB models left. So we have the DB12, we've got the DBX over there. But there we go, Aston Martin's new reveal here during Monterey Car Week, the Veyron. Look at what Cadillac has revealed at the Quail. The V1 concept. This takes their prototype LMDH race car from endurance racing and theorizes making it a possible customer road car. I think one of the craziest things is this paint fade, going from this really dark blue, almost black, fading towards the front here, blending into the silver. I love how much of the Cadillac design DNA gets incorporated into these race cars. We've got the vertical blade DRL, the little individual lights too, the Cadillac logo up front, obviously. And I mean, this is still the race car, but they just kind of made it more road legal looking. It's got a paint job. It's got a semblance of an interior. This seat is still very much a race car. Look how low that is with the harness, but you get nicer materials, so much carbon fiber, obviously only a single seater. That race wheel, my gosh, that is so cool with the helmet strapped in over there. This is absolutely insane. And when you go to a race and you hear this thing start up, so it rolls away in electric mode, smooth and quiet, making just like a whirring noise, and then when that V8 fires up, it sounds like the world is ending. This thing has the absolute best startup sound of anything on the grid. The Aston Martin Valkyrie is really cool, that scream, but just the rumble, you feel it with the Cadillac. We've got the vertical blade light back here, tons of carbon fiber. This is straight up the race car. that they just kind of made it look like it could be a possible road car, just a concept. But so cool to see how much involvement Cadillac is doing in all the different forms of motorsport. So we have this one right here, and if we turn around the corner, Formula One. Cadillac has made it on the grid. They are competing this year. This is just a demo show car. They've got this little helmet sitting right here. The actual real race car is actually running a Ferrari power unit, but General Motors is working on developing their own power unit. It takes so much to build a whole power unit for Formula One, from the hybrid system to the engine itself. But anyways, GM with Cadillac is on the F1 grid, so endurance racing, formula racing, and on-road luxury. This right here is a special version of the Celestiq, the Cadillac flagship, all-electric, ultra-luxury, competing against Rolls-Royces, and it's at that price point. These things are hundreds of thousands, I think $400,000, depending how you option up, even more actually, maybe 500. But inside, they are so nice. Everything is made of metal, like 3D printed in a machine, like on the steering wheel. This one looks like it's got some carbon. You can customize all the different materials. The sunroof itself, or the panoramic glass roof, you can tint in different zones, which is really cool. To get chauffeured in the back, you get the executive second row experience. I got to actually get driven around in the back of a Celestiq. My friend Drake had one as a press car demo, and it definitely was so smooth and quiet. And there's just so many really interesting details. If we come up front, like this is actually metal. That's where the charging door is up front. All these trim pieces are actual metal. So that's the Cadillac Celestiq. And right here, this gigantic behemoth, the Escalade IQ, is debuting the curated by Cadillac treatment for the Escalade IQ. So it first came out on the Blackwing, and that means a full custom exterior paint color. You can customize your interior, and now they are offering this on the Escalade IQ. So you can start changing your color combo, exterior paint finishes. This one here in satin blue is pretty cool too. It is a pretty hefty upcharge, but just like with other high-end brands, Porsche with their paint to sample, you can do custom finishes. Cadillac is offering it here. You know, I would really love to see GM expand this to Corvette. At the price point and where Corvette is competing now with the ZR1, ZR1X, a full custom paint color should be available, right? Any color you want, pay extra for it. They kind of dabbled their toes into the water with the Quail Edition ZR1X with a satin silver finish, but right now it's currently just available on the Cadillac. So Blackwing, Escalade IQ, although Blackwing is ending production soon, so I don't know how much longer you'll be able to do one of those. But anyways, Escalade IQ, Celestiq is of course in a world where you can already just fully customize every single thing about it. So the V1, I think they should turn this from a concept into an actual thing. There is so much precedence, both from a road car standpoint. Porsche did it with the 963, right? That one off. But then if you look at customer racing, Ferrari with their XX program, you take the race cars and allow people to buy them, own them, and then race them themselves, right? It may not be in a series, it might just be for someone who's ultra wealthy and maybe has a membership at a track, they take it to thermal or whatever, but it's just expanding the presence and the whole awareness of the whole race program, building on the Cadillac V-Series name. This is pretty cool. I just can't get over that paint fade. That is magnificent. And here we have the new Audi Nuvolari. Not exactly an R8 replacement. This is ultra limited, but kind of a spiritual successor. So this is a platform sibling to the Lamborghini Temerario, similar to how the Huracan and the R8 were related and the Gallardo before that. But ironically, this one actually makes more power than the Lamborghini. 987 horsepower, has the 4-liter twin-turbo V8 that revs to 10,000 RPM back there, and it's got the motor setup, the electric motors, but they actually increased the battery size, so it makes a bit more power. The other big thing is the styling. This is such a different design direction from Audi. It's almost like industrial, not even fully rendered kind of look. So it has that low wedge-like mid-engine look, but some curves to it. This one in this gray matte finish. Take a look at the grills too. So that's all metal. Everything on here, this may look like plastic, but these are actually made of metal. The quality looks immensely crazy. The headlights here under that slot, some carbon fiber down here. It will be available in different colors. This is just the launch color they are showing off here. We've got enormous carbon ceramic brakes. The door handle is actually, the release is hidden underneath here, and this becomes like an arrow pass-through on the door, and when it closes, it meets up with the side. Let's take a look inside. We have the door sill plate right here. Nuvolari is named after an old racing driver. They will be building 499 of these, so it is very, very limited. This one as a show car, number 000. We've got these carbon bucket seats with the suede on every surface. And the other cool thing is everything on the inside is like metal. These, the grills, the vents and everything like that, the buttons, so they really have stepped up the quality inside here. Even here on the door, everything feels so solid, made of metal. It's cool to the touch, the switches, the materials. This is actually impressive. tons of buttons on a steering wheel, just like on a Lamborghini Temerario, because we've got hybrid modes. We've got a DRS button on there. You can change your various different drive modes, launch control, front lift, and then just a small screen there in the middle, nothing too much. Airflow is also a big part of it. So air gets channeled through the S-duct on the hood over the top of the car, and it's designed to channel right here to that 4-liter twin-turbo V8 in the back. And then this is an active rear wing, so we've got DRS, Formula One derived. Audi is now racing in F1, just like Cadillac, so they're going to be pulling some of that F1 technology into their road cars. This entire massive rear vent back here is also made of metal. And here's another cool thing. These Audi rings are metal pressed into the carbon. So those little details just really show how it seems like they've stepped it up. Now, the R8 was definitely a good quality built sports car, supercar, whatever you want to call it, but it's a total different world compared to this. I mean, the price point is orders of magnitude higher. R8s, I mean, we're like in the $100,000 to $200,000 range, right? My R8 RWS was like $150,000 new, V10 Plus, you know, $200,000. These are going to be like $700,000, and again, ultra limited, only $499, which I think is a very interesting decision because the Lamborghini Temerario, the sibling to this vehicle, is not specifically limited like this will be. So definitely a much more special car. Enormous exhaust right up here, and yeah, all of this here, that's all metal. You can hear it. Carbon diffuser back here. It definitely looks really striking in person. Ultra futuristic. Man, as a two-time R8 owner, I had a Gen 1 V10 Spider, gated manual, and then I had a Gen 2 RWS. This, I can see elements of it, the evolution of it, and look right here. This is what I was talking about, where the door handle here, this merges in when you close the door to the side, and it just channels airflow through back here above. So it's deliberately designed and sculpted for functionality, but the looks, I think it's really cool. First time finally seeing the Audi Nuvolari in person. Again, not a official R8 replacement, kind of the spiritual successor, a halo product for the Audi brand to sit at the very top of the lineup. Ultra rare, definitely very expensive. I think it's quite funny that it's more powerful, more expensive, and more rare than the Lamborghini sibling, which is kind of a reverse, right? R8s were like the more attainable, a little less power, more affordable versions of the Lamborghini sibling, but they have flipped the script. But here we go, the Audi Nuvolari, definitely one of the most exciting new supercars coming out this year and next. Here we have the Bentley display with their full current lineup. The Bentayga over there, the Continental GTC, and the refreshed Flying Spur. The Continental is now a plug-in hybrid only, so goodbye W12, but it is a twin-turbo V8 plug-in hybrid. They've updated the front fascia styling, so you have this single larger, I think it looks like a tadpole, the headlight, or like it's wearing eyeliner or something like that. So they've updated that look, whereas the Bentayga still has the more quad crystal look. I mean, these headlights are gorgeous. It's like a flower petal made of diamonds. The detailing is truly spectacular. We've got the Continental GTC here, the Flying Spur with the Flying Bee hood ornament. That is always awesome. But what's even more cool and exciting, right here we have the Continental Super Sports. This is, I think, the lightest weight Bentley in quite a long time because they dropped the hybrid system, so twin turbo V8, pure rear wheel drive, even more aggressive front fascia here. We have little canards, openings for airflow and cooling, carbon fiber. It looks really nice and aggressive. And you might be like, what do you mean Bentley is doing something sporty? Well, they have a history, right? It's not just floaty, luxurious sedans and SUVs from Bentley. They have actual racing pedigree, history, and there is also a precedence for the Super Sports name itself, but also remember the Continental GT3R? They've done some pretty cool things. I remember one year at Pebble Beach here, they had the Pikes Peak like special race car out doing photos and things like that. Look at this carbon aero piece here on the side. You absolutely have to go watch their launch video where they had a Super Sports like drifting around the factory and the Bentley campus. It was so cool. That sounds pretty fantastic with the valves open, a low rumble. We've got some pretty aggressive carbon aero here, a lip, and then the carbon diffuser with the quad exhaust tips, the Super Sports, pure rear wheel drive, even sculpting here on the rear bumper. I really hope I get to drive the Super Sports at some point because the Continental is so impressive. It's smooth, quiet, solid, very luxurious, but at the same time, dynamically very impressive. I just spent some time with a Continental GTS. It has active anti-roll bars, rear steer, so much power and torque. It was legitimately such a good all-around, do everything, ultimate luxury coupe daily driver. You can get it with a convertible. Yes, the W12 is gone, but this plug-in hybrid twin-turbo V8 is pretty dang beastly. And right here we have the Super Sports, the most hardcore version. We will have to come back to the Lamborghini display later because under that cover is what is most likely, almost certainly, the Revuelto SV. Yesco. This purple with the exposed carbon up front. I think this one is named Hydra. Yep. So when you commission a car like this, you can also add a name to it. And this one was named Hydra. Take a look at the massive fixed wing back. It is, oh, it's active, but the huge wing with the purple Koenigsegg crest and the purple ghost back there, that's really, really cool. I personally think the Yesco Attack looks cooler than the Absolute. The Absolute is a top speed one. It's got the two little fins, but just this enormous wing works with the proportions. We have the purple badge back here. The carbon work on Koenigsegg's is just staggering, including the wheels. One of the craziest things is Koenigsegg does everything themselves. When you see carbon wheels like on Ferraris, Fords, like with the GT500, that's done by another company. Corvette, same thing. When you order carbon wheels from those OEMs, it's from Carbon Revolution. They're a big one who has designed, developed them. Koenigsegg does it themselves. So like so many things are all done in-house, and the details underneath everything, even things that you wouldn't really normally see, is just spectacular, which is appropriate for a car at this price point. I'm very lucky that I've been able to drive a Koenigsegg. It was the Regera, which is a very unique, different experience too, with that hydro coupe, like a giant torque converter, no actual transmission. Let's check this thing out, the CCGT1. So the CCGT was a old Le Mans race car that they're going to run. I actually saw it here at Car Week a couple years ago, but it never actually went. So this looks like it's based off the CC850. This white carbon fiber weave is amazing, contrasted with the actual painted, the fender louvers here. This right here is something I have literally never seen on any other car. We've seen tinted carbon before, but to do white carbon weave, and like I was saying, even underneath everything, the carbon weave lines up across the different panels, the carbon fiber around the suspension, the inboard suspension. Man, the details, you could spend hours just drooling over every little detail on a Koenigsegg. The CCGT1 lettering up front, the skin of the Koenigsegg that opens up. You press a button on the key fob and the front opens hydraulically. The massive engine compartment, the signature dihedro doors, the dihedro synchro, whatever the Koenigsegg doors, you know what they're called, right? Even on the mirrors, we've got the white carbon. Let's take a look at the interior. 1 of 70, limited production run. This is one of the craziest things. You see that massive shifter right there, and it says ASMR. So that's the reference to, like the sound things that people like on social media, but also I believe that's automatic sequential manual reverse. So you can have automatic mode, you can also have sequential mode with a big sequential shifter, or you can go full manual mode and obviously reverse. And you have the exposed linkage down there, the key slots right in there shaped like the Koenigsegg logo. Another fun thing is when you need to fuel up a Koenigsegg, you literally pull up to the gas pump and you have to open your entire engine compartment because it's hidden right here. So this is essentially your fuel filler door, right? You just park and you open up this massive thing to put gas in your Koenigsegg. The enormous carbon wing back here with the logo on the side. Oh my God, that is a dinner table sized wing. And then back here, the twin turbo V8. Absolutely beast of an engine. I think it's well over 1,000 horsepower and pump gas, like 1,300 or something. And then, as with most Koenigsegg's, you run it on E85, you can make even more power. And then the details. Look at like the suspension, the subframe there with the Koenigsegg logo. Even there down, oh my gosh, like the little details everywhere has the Koenigsegg logo on it. And this is full white carbon across the back with the taillight pods floating right here. A really aggressive diffuser, way more aggressive than the CC850, which is a more clean, like kind of elegant, classy, smooth look. This one here goes full race car with the aggressive diffuser, these exhaust tips here. And then the wheels have these white carbon like aero cover fill-in. The 5-spoke wheel design, they're different from the front. The front doesn't have these white carbon inserts. That is amazing. Looking at the driver's side, we have an analog G-force gauge in the middle, and then those other gauges look almost like airline, like aerospace kind of thing. They're so intricate. So we also have paddle shifters on the steering wheel, but you'll note 3 pedals down here. This is literally a car where you can have the choice of whether going into manual mode, like an actual manual transmission, or you can go paddle shifters, or you go automatic, the sequential giant shifter there, and then the ignition flip up there with the start. Yeah, I see latches, so you can remove the roof. and put it in the front trunk, so you have the open air experience and then the full race harness. I think Koenigsegg has released an insane car almost every year at the Quail. One year it was the CC850, and then it was the Sadir Spear, the really aggressive version of the Jesko, and now the CC GT1. They never disappoint. Continuing on here to Chimera, and this thing, we gotta go to the back because they have done something really, really special. This is powered by Koenigsegg, so they are borrowing Koenigsegg's insane twin-turbo V8 and putting in the back. We've got the inboard Öhlins suspension. The bodywork is wild with the ducting, sculpting in here too, the wing supports. Wow, this is actually spaceship looking. They started off updating like Lancias, right, if I recall correctly, but this is just a whole other level. Take a look at this front end, those rings of light, and then all this aggressive venting here on the fenders, the hood, airflow channels through here. Actually, whoa, look at that. The headlights are like floating. They look like giant Cheerios down there. The NACA duct in the middle. This thing in this like satin aluminum finish. Wow. And, I mean, it's got a Koenigsegg V8 in the back. That right there should be enough of a draw, because I don't think that's the only other car outside of a Koenigsegg that you could get a Koenigsegg V8 in a vehicle. This one has more of the rally look and feel with the lights up front. We've got the Martini livery. I'll be honest, I am not super familiar with what exactly this brand has been doing and these vehicles, but they look so amazing in person. The detailing, the carbon work, the body work, and the aero. Look at that. Aero channeling through there, a big fan down there. You can see the suspension showing. The interior is also very Martini themed. Oh, that shifter and the hydraulic hand. Oh my gosh, that is cool. Let me open this one up. Wow, that's a very light door. All carbon, blue suede insert here. Wow, that's barely a seat. It's a carbon bucket with just a little bit of cushioning. This is actually fascinating. Underneath here, nothing is decorational. Everything is functional. Suspension, different struts and connecting things, and the engine back here, big turbo over there. Wow, that is definitely... I need to go look up more about what Chimera is doing, because seeing these in person is fascinating. The rear end of this K39 is also so cool. Everything is just open. You can just see through this metal mesh. And we got the blue carbon diffuser down here, exhaust exits in the middle. It is also tremendously wide with this wing. This is really, really cool. All right, I'm gonna go and do some homework and look up all the things I need to learn about what Chimera is doing, because these, man, this might be one of the highlights. This car right here, this K39, this front end, so unique and different compared to everything else out here. Now, there are a couple brands that are notably missing from this year's Quail that usually are here. The big one, Pagani. Pagani is not here. They usually have a big display stand, lots of different cars here. They've usually in the past have an arrangement of Huayras, the Codalunga was here, Utopias, Zondas. They revealed the final production Zonda, Arrivederci, whatever that one's called, the last Zonda. What else isn't here? We don't have Rolls-Royce. I did not see Rolls-Royce anywhere. And there's a couple other brands. McLaren, oh, that's a big one. McLaren has revealed a actual real manual supercar hypercar, the MCL6 GT, and it's not here. No cars here. Would have been cool to see a W1 and that new car. So I'm a little bit bummed about that one, but I'm sure you've seen a lot of coverage of that. It's one of the most exciting new McLaren releases, new supercars, hypercars to come out. It's not the Ferrari Manuale, the simulated manual. And I mean, Koenigsegg, to be fair, is a very similar kind of setup too. Different kinds of engineering and application to achieve that effect. But the McLaren is supposed to be a real manual transmission, twin turbo V8. I've been hearing 500 car production run, $1.5 million in a styling that is completely different from any other modern day McLaren. It's really inspired by the historic, one of their historic models, right? So there is heritage to it, but it doesn't resemble like a 750S or anything that we're used to seeing from the McLaren design language. But that right there is 100% one of the most exciting new supercars and hypercars. They also recently released the 788 High Sport, the ultimate version of the 7 Series platform, right? 750S, 765 LT, 788 High Sport. That'll be a send-off. They're ultra limited, and then we'll be seeing the next generation, I presume, soon. So I'm curious to see if they use this new design language more after this manual supercar, or if they keep on developing the current design language. But anyways, no McLaren here, no Rolls-Royce, and no Pagani. I'm sure there's a couple other ones I'm missing, but those are the ones that come to mind. So you know how the Ferrari F40 is a very, very rare and special car. Well, at the Quail, it's a little less rare because we have a handful of F40s here. Last year was the F50s. There were like a dozen something of them, maybe more than that. Now it's F40s. Most of them are finished in red, as to be expected with the F40, but there is a blue one over here. I have never seen a blue F40. Look at this thing. It's got the red interior. Nice dark blue. Man, this is so cool. That is an appropriate plate, F40 blue. I wonder if this was factory or was it repainted? You know, there's that one blue carbon F50 that was actually rebodied, I believe. It's not a factory one, but this blue F, man, this actually looks amazing. And then there's just more. They just keep going, right? There's just more and more and more. But you can kind of see how we get jaded coming to Monterey Car Week, right? Because it's just the rare cars, your poster cars. You see dozens of them everywhere. Look at what Brabus has. This is definitely a step beyond modifying G-Wagons. This is the Bodo. It's a 2+2 coupe, and they have a cabriolet over there. So underneath, this is actually an Aston Martin Vanquish. So it retains the 5.2 liter V12 twin turbo, but they've pushed the horsepower to 1,000 horsepower, and they've completely rebodied it. And I love the proportions of this thing. It is so insanely long. And this one here, the coupe, is in full exposed carbon fiber. The hood, the fenders, everything. We've got airflow coming out of here. It retains the Aston Martin side view mirror, so it's got that frameless side view mirror. And then coming along back, take a look at the way this tail extends back. Airflow goes down here, so no giant spoilers to interrupt the clean body. The rear end here has Aston Martin looking taillights, right? Inspiration, but they've completely redone it. The stacked quad exhaust tips. The way this rear end just cascades back is wild. And we've seen the coupe, and I believe the new reveal here is the cabriolet. So this one gets painted body, still carbon fiber underneath, but the open top experience, same crazy proportions. I actually like the silver wheels on this one. So many spokes. And the interior. So you see some Aston Martin elements that are still retained too, right? But they add their Brabus touch to it, reskin the seats, you get the matching luggage there. Two very different personalities. This one with the full exposed carbon fiber, murdered out. And then this one kind of classier, cream colored with the silver wheels. These are actually really, really cool. The proportions are absolutely spectacular. Here we have Touring Superleggera with their Veloce 12 Aperta. So this is a Ferrari 550 donor car that gets completely reimagined, like a coach-built experience. So carbon fiber body, they changed the styling slightly, but it still retains the look of the 550, but nicely modernized. Slightly more aggressive front fascia. Look at these carbon fiber headlight surrounds. And fun fact, these badges are 24 karat gold. So the Superleggera badge right there, coming along back here. The big news is this is the Aperta. So this is the third iteration that Touring Superleggera has done based off of the Ferrari 550. They had the coupe, there's the Barchetta with no roof, but this one is a Targa. So the Aperta has this aluminum hoop right here, and then we have two carbon fiber panels that are removable. You can see one has been taken out, so you get the open air experience, and they actually slot down in here. There's a storage space underneath this bag. You can see little protective sleeves for them, and look at this matching crocodile leather luggage. We have a matching umbrella. Everything is retrimmed and beautiful suede. We also have the matching Rimowa luggage that is custom fit in here, and some of the other really cool details, the woven leather mat underneath that also matches the seats themselves. So the seats are two-tone with the woven red leather with the lighter cream, the Touring logo embroidered on the headrests, even behind the seats. Look at these details, and look at that. Gated V12, 6-speed manual. Everything that looks like metal is actual metal. So the little details, the buttons are really, really cool. And I think this might be the perfect Ferrari V12 experience. Top down, enjoy the sound, gated manual. Ferrari 550s, I've been very fortunate to drive factory stock ones, and it was really, really enjoyable. It's not the fastest thing in the world, especially by today's standards, but that's not the point of this car either. They don't do a crazy amount to the engine, 503 horsepower, which is plenty. It's all about the grand touring, the luxury experience. It's elegant, it's comfortable, you can go great distances with it. It's got tons of storage space back here. They say it's, what was the number, 327 liters, but you can see how much luggage you can fit back there, even with the roof panels stored away or put on top. Now, these are rather expensive. It's like $750,000 on top of a Ferrari 550 donor car, but then you get a completely custom, updated, modernized car that you're not going to see that many of them out there, right? It's a very, very low production car. So here it is, the Touring Superleggera Veloce 12 Aperta. Beautiful. This is the thing with Car Week and events like this. You almost just get numb and jaded to seeing some rare special cars, but like there's like a couple dozen of them here. I admit I don't know a ton about the older Lamborghinis, Another Diablo. I should count. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I know this one is special. The Diablo GT. Dang, this is quite a bit more aggressive. We've got the venting on the hood, the NACA ducts right here, the roof scoop there, the bigger fixed wing and carbon. Carbon looked different back then. The weave, the pattern has changed so much over time. But a Diablo GT, a VT, what am I at? 12, I think? 13? Viola SE30. Now this is a cool color. Whoa. This is a prototype. The first ever Diablo SE30 built was a development vehicle. There's a Countach Intruder. That is a cool spec. I've lost count, guys. 13, 14, 15 European plate right there. Another Diablo GT. The GTR, yeah, sorry. This is the actual race version, I think. Oh my gosh. That green one is pretty cool. A gold one, fantastic. I've resorted to just like naming colors. Red, white, purple again. This is crazy. 20 something? Oh, this is Diablo SV. There's a blue Diablo SV that is at our hotel in at Spanish Bay. It's been parked in the valet all week, and that's not even here from what I see, right? I didn't miss one, did I? But anyways, there's a tasting of lots of Lamborghini Diablos. Alpina has been fully acquired by BMW, so here is a preview concept of a BMW Alpina. They're positioning it, I believe, above BMW, below Rolls-Royce. Something in that middle tier, because honestly, there's a huge gap between a 7 Series and a Ghost. There are hundreds of thousands of dollars between there, but this here, a coupe concept, is absolutely beautiful. So we've got BMW styling cues. You see the BMW badge there, the Alpina lettering below, and we've got the kidney grills with the backlit glow and these thin crystal-looking headlights that look like they're glittering. Now, this is purely a concept, but they do intend to do full production run Alpina BMW vehicles, and it's more than before, because in the past, Alpina, they would do some trim pieces, right, some aero restyling, and then obviously upgrade the powertrain, some interior tweaks, but here, this is a completely rebodied vehicle. I'm sure there will be some platform sharing, some powertrain sharing, but they are meant to be completely individual bespoke body panels and a production run of Alpina vehicles under the BMW umbrella. We've got these absolutely massive multi-spoke wheels, very much evoking the classic Alpina design. The fronts are 22s, and then coming around to the back, we've got 23-inch wheels. I love the proportions of this. I really hope these big, giant luxury coupes make a comeback, like that Brabus we saw, this right now. But personal, one of my favorites is the S-Class coupe. I remember that was always such a cool dream daily driver for me. And this one right here, if this came to production like this right now, I would be so tempted. We've got the thin 2 lines of lighting back here, the way the glass just smoothly flows down to the rear end, the quad oval exhaust tips, and let's see if we can sneak up and grab a peek of the interior. We've got some screens that are definitely reminiscent of the latest BMW interiors, like in the new iX3 and so forth, the 7 Series, kind of the slanted rectangle, but definitely some special Alpina touches. Very nice contrast, light blue with the darker blue. Can't wait to see what they do with their eventual production vehicles. I'm sure they'll build out a full line, because right now, right, outgoing Alpina vehicles, there was what, the B8, there's a B7 based off the 7 Series, and then the Alpina XB7. Those are ones you can actually order from BMW dealerships. So it was already essentially just a BMW plus a bit, right? But now it's officially under BMW's umbrella, using the Alpina name and that heritage. Really, really curious to see where this stacks up compared to, let's call it, Bentleys and the top-end Mercedes models. Maybe they'll do an ultra-luxury sedan to go up against the Maybach S-Classes. Who knows? We'll see. But I am here for it. I have loved every Alpina model I've driven, so this is really cool to see this concept here at the Quail. You know what would be the best? Alpina wagons, because we have been deprived of Alpina wagons, right? Whether the 5 Series or the 3 Series ones, we just haven't had those in America. We had the B8 Grand Coupe and also the 6 Series based one, but we have not been given the wagons. That would be cool if they did that. And I think Alpina is a perfect fit for this kind of more luxurious treatment, because the Alpina versions of BMW vehicles were already more the grand touring luxurious daily driver ones. They prioritize torque and smoothness, whereas the M cars lean much more aggressive, more track focused, right? More about the horsepower, and the 0 to 60 suspension was a bit firmer. But for example, an Alpina B8 versus an M8, the Alpina was going to ride better. It's going to have more torque, feel smoother, and just a little more classy luxury experience. So when they do it for this kind of vehicle here, just looking at the design here, it definitely looks like a flagship executive luxury coupe. I'm sure they'll do convertibles and continue to build out the lineup. So yeah, I am definitely super excited, and seeing this in person, it is absolutely beautiful. Well, Bugatti is absolutely packed. So many people checking out their latest one-off, the Destrier, based off the Bolide. We will be coming back later to get a walk around of that vehicle. So definitely keep watching because you're going to want to see the crazy cool things on that new Bugatti one-off. We have Eccentrica here with their Diablo restomod. So they take a Lamborghini Diablo and completely rebody it. This one here is very USA themed with the blue body, the red and white accents. Look at this blue tinted carbon with the red accents around the grills, the logo there, and it maintains the pop-up headlights, little NACA duct right here, and I love the way this fender comes out right here. The white wheels with the Brembo brakes and a little red accent there. The matte blue carbon side view mirrors, and this interior with the blue leather with the white accents on the seats, gated manual shifter, a gated 6-speed manual. This interior is such a cool blend of like retro but also modernized. Everything's been slightly updated but still maintains the soul of the Diablo interior, but it looks like it's a bit higher quality, right? I mean, Lamborghinis of this era weren't necessarily known for their usability and ergonomics, still have those funny quirks, you know, the seatbelts are in the middle. It is an Italian car after all. And then back here they have the exposed V12, a 5.7 liter naturally aspirated V12. They tweak it a little bit, massage it, makes 550 horsepower, has a Capristo exhaust, so it makes it sound nice and throaty. We've got a little American flag back here too. So this is the Eccentrica Roadster, 19 of these and 19 coupes. This one here is fully finished in matte carbon fiber, the black carbon fiber weave. Engine back here, hardtop, scissor doors, of course, gated manual transmission. It's like over $1 million on top of a Diablo donor car. So these are definitely very expensive. So like I said, the headlights, they're not really pop-up headlights anymore. They're like pop-down headlights, but like the covers drop down and they have them recessed in there, which is really cool. Big fan of how this has been slightly modernized and updated. They are very, very rare. 38 between the coupes and the roadsters. I mean, well over $1 million to build one of these things. But if the Diablo was one of your childhood dream cars, but you want something a little bit more modern, this is where you would go. It can wink. That is so cool. That was the cover mechanically actuating. Here we have one of the newest American hypercar manufacturers, Zinger, and this is the 21C. They've got different iterations of it. That one is the VMAX, and this one is the track focus one with the big wing. But there are some really unique features to the Zinger 21C that no other hypercar manufacturers have. The seating position is super cool. You sit one in front of the other, which gives this crazy like fuselage canopy experience. We've got the roof scoop right there, the enormous carbon wing. This one has a fade from exposed black carbon fiber to a tinted red. Now that is wild. You see paint fade, but fading the tint on the carbon fiber itself, that is really, really cool. And the other thing with Zinger is beyond their carbon work, they're 3D printed rapid prototyping. So actually we can't really see it on this one here. It's all hidden away, but they usually have various displays of their structures. So this is actually the instrument cluster binnacle, but this right here, all these organic shapes. Let me see where the suspension part is. Right here you can really see what makes Zingers unique. So rapid prototyping, additive manufacturing with all these metal components, and it's almost as if it's organic. So they essentially find the optimal point between lightweight and the structural rigidity, the stiffness, the strength they need for various components, which leads to these like organic grown shapes from the various suspension components to the brake surround, everything here. It's been such a success that other hypercars are now adopting this. So the Bugatti Tourbillon, I believe the McLaren W1, and I think maybe the Ferrari F80 have shown various components that Zinger has been helping to design and manufacture. You're not going to see any other components like this beyond what Zinger is doing. This is so unique. Just the way it kind of curves and angles, it looks like it's grown, as if it's like a skeleton, a bone structure. So this is what makes Zinger so absolutely unique. So you have the carbon tub here, the entire cell, and then the bolt-on of the entire rear subframe and the front components here. Even the brake is like integrated. This like brake caliper surround piece is integrated into the suspension component. So it all is like one continuous piece. And the way it's sculpted here is apparently supposed to channel airflow in to aid with cooling of the brakes. It is just absolutely crazy to see under the skin the structure here with the Zinger 21C. But their big news is a new variant. This is the new reveal from Zinger, the 21C Roadster. So no roof, you got the 2 seats here, and it's all finished in brown paint and brown carbon fiber. This is brown carbon fiber weave. This is very, very unique, the spider version of the 21C. So they must rework the carbon tub, but usually carbon tubs are so stiff you can remove the roof and it doesn't actually harm the structural rigidity. But this right here, one in front of the other, has got to be such a cool seating position, and you still kind of have that fighter jet canopy effect here. And brown carbon, wow, brown with the blue accents. That is certainly very, very cool. And these things are legit. They have gone around and just won various track records with the high downforce version. And this one here, the VMAX, commissioned by a collector, RLS Collection. They're down in Naples now. They have some fantastic other cars, an acid green 918, blue carbon Wyra Roadster, and this purple paint in the sun. Oh my gosh, it was cloudy and gloomy earlier, but now the sun is coming out. You can see that metallic flake. This is amazing. What a spec. This paint is absolutely mesmerizing here in the sun, and we've seen some other ones. There's a full green carbon one. They've got this blue VMAX that have been running around testing, the white one that set all the records. They have the Blackbird version too. Zinger is doing some pretty remarkable things. Someday I want to drive one of these. They have their own bespoke twin turbo V8. It is insanely power dense, plus the electric motor, so crazy power to weight ratio. Absurd performance, taking track records, millions of dollars, but serious engineering behind it. One of the most impressive American hypercar manufacturers to come out in the last couple years. This is the new Gunther Works GXR Evo, a track-only race car. Just like their other models, built off the 993 platform, but completely redesigned, re-engineered. And this is arguably one of their most intense and aggressive models. I mean, it is a full race car. Now, it does have a naturally aspirated flat six in the back. So this one's not in pursuit of all-out power. Other models like their turbo, the F26, those are, I mean, 1,000 horsepower, right, out of a twin turbo flat six. But this one, naturally aspirated, 455 horsepower, revving up to nearly 9,000 RPM. Of course, a 6-speed manual transmission. But as you see inside, this is straight up race car. Lightweight is the goal here. Obviously, the full carbon fiber body helps. Dry weight is quoted at just under 2,400 pounds. So yeah, 455 horsepower might not sound like anything insane, especially when we look at other things that Gunther Works has done with their turbocharged cars, right? But, I mean, that power to weight ratio is going to be pure and fantastic. Now, limited to 15, track only, not road legal, so the chances you ever see this at Cars and Coffee are literally zero. Maybe if you're very wealthy and you, I don't know, live at Thermo or something like that, you're gonna see it on the track. But let's take a look at some of the details. The really aggressive carbon aero. We've got this massive front splitter, a little bit of curvature there, front canards there. I just love how every single piece of this thing is carbon fiber. These gold wheels with those Brembo brakes, full track slicks too. And then take a look again at the inside. Man, no passenger seat. Instead, it looks like we've got a cooling system here, fire extinguisher, single bucket seat, but still some cues. Look at that, the wood shifter ball, and looks like a full like Motec race dash right there with a race steering wheel and a full integrated roll cage. So safety, you know, and also not any concessions to creature comforts, like no sound deadening, no carpet whatsoever. That is just a bare chassis underneath with some carbon fiber. That is very, very different from the turbo ones and the other ones they've done. And I like that GXR Evo, little carbon fin. You don't need to see what's behind you if you're in front winning, right? So no rear windshield. Massive wing back here with these end plates. Holy crap, we've got like these fins coming down, and then the rear end. Actually, oh, the Gunther letters right there, and the 3D printed dual exhaust tips in the middle. I like the mix of matte carbon with gloss too. 15 customer cars will be built, track only, the new GXR Evo. And they've started this thing up and revved it a couple times. It sounds insane. Oh, one other thing, if you buy one of these, you'll also get a matching race simulator, which of course features lots of carbon fiber, but you know, you're gonna go practice getting ready to race your GXR Evo on track. You wanna do it on a simulator. This thing is legit. A couple other details. Door panel here is just carbon fiber, little strap right there, a little cloth handle, nothing else. And we have this aero disc cover on the rear wheels too. These are 335s by 18. That is a lot of full slick rubber. God, that was actually painfully loud. What? This thing sounds ear-piercingly insane. I imagine because it's a race car, right? Don't even worry about sound regulations whatsoever. But Gunther Werks lineup is expanding. Hennessy with the 3-car lineup. We've got the new reveal here in the middle, the Blackbird. But over here, the original Venom, which is based off a Lotus Elise that was stretched and given a massive V8, making a bajillion horsepower. But this is like where they got started. And it's so cool seeing from here to here, their latest creation, the Blackbird, inspired by the SR71. So they'll be building 71 of these. This is the analog driver experience. Now, being a Hennessy flagship hypercar here, it's going to be insanely expensive, $2.5 million, ultra limited, but the ingredients are fantastic. We have a naturally aspirated V8. They're targeting over 800 horsepower and over 9,000 RPM redline. So they're saying that's the highest revving V8 out there. It beats the Corvette Z06, and it's paired with a gated 6-speed manual transmission, a real mechanical manual transmission. You can kind of see it there through the windshield, not a simulated one like the Ferrari one. This is a legit gated 6-speed. From a styling standpoint, this one looks much more swoopy and curvy. Lots of like airflow channels everywhere. The hood right here, and then we got these little like winglets extending out over the fenders. We've got these glass panels on the roof, carbon fiber, and the wing mirrors are super high up. Even the doors have this massive opening for channeling air. Lots of sculpting all through here, the carbon contrast. And then back here, we've also got another like winglet on the rear shoulder. And look at these two like flaps. That's very much like aerospace fighter jet inspired. Looks like they will actually actuate and move. And we've got exhaust tips back here. This is definitely not a full like functional, look at that. This is like a concept vehicle, right? It's not actually fully functional production kind of car. This is definitely to showcase their design and what is going to be coming. But the Hennessy Blackbird, naturally aspirated V8, over 800 horsepower, revving to over 9,000 RPM, lightweight construction, a proper mechanical gated 6-speed manual transmission. It is definitely a departure from the typical Hennessy formula, right? They're usually in pursuit of just that ridiculous power number, that top speed, that all-out performance. But this seems to be more about the analog engaging experience, which a lot of these higher-end manufacturers, whether it's aftermarket companies or the hypercar manufacturers, are moving towards. Yes, the top speed numbers are impressive. Obviously, we got a Venom F5 here. These things are ridiculously capable in every single metric. Massive fixed wing back here. This is actually a really cool spec with the carbon fading into this beautiful metallic gold paint. But it's just that one, the Blackbird, is a very, very different personality. I cannot wait to see when that reaches production. 71 cars, $2.5 million. Hennessy is really advancing and expanding their hypercar lineup. A Porsche one-off from their Sonderwunsch Special Wishes department. This is based off of a 991.2 GT2 RS, so 700 horsepower, but they've resculpted it, lost a bit of weight, just over 30 kilograms of weight loss. The front end has been redesigned. You lose the, rather iconic circular oval Porsche headlights. Instead, you've got these two horizontal splits, plenty of carbon fiber, a couple little dive planes up there, and they resculpted the rear wing. This is a one-off road legal special, the Flachbau RS. I'm probably completely butchering that German pronunciation, but from the Porsche Special Wishes department. I find it very interesting that they're doing this based off the previous generation GT2 RS, which has been out of production for a couple years now. So I imagine somebody who owns a 2RS sent it to Porsche, to their Special Wishes department, and asked to do something really unique and rebody it slightly. We got a massive rear wing that's been resculpted, aero disc there on the rear wheels. See the Flachbau RS there along the side. Where is the new GT2 RS, right? That's a question. We're onto the 992.2, and we haven't been given a GT2 RS. I imagine it will be hybridized, but 2RS, these prices, ignoring this one-off, regular 991.2 GT2 RSs are skyrocketing in value. You see one that just sold for $1 million. It was a crazy spec, low miles, but that is, these things are becoming so valuable. But a one-off, couple other cars here from Porsche. This, you might be like, oh, a Carrera S, what's the big deal? 992.2 Carrera S, manual. They're bringing it back, 6-speed manual available back on the 992 beyond just either a GT3 or the Carrera T. So you could do it on the Carrera T, but they're making it available back. Seems like they're backtracking a little bit. For a while, they were like, no more manuals, PDK only. And I think buyers of Porsche genuinely spoke, and they were like, we don't want that. We want manual still. Look at GT3 manual take rates. We have ourselves a gorgeous brown 992.2 GT3, and then over here we have a wild color combination. The light blue with the matching blue wheels. This is the new GT3 SC, a convertible version of the GT3. It's not a speedster, specifically not a speedster. The SC, no back seats back here though, manual transmission, 4-liter flat six. It is a Porsche GT3 without a roof. And the difference between this and some of the other drop top RS models and so forth is this is a power top, so you can put it up and down. It's not like with the Spider RS where you have to get out and build yourself a tent. This color combination is, I gotta say, interesting. I definitely, if I were ordering an SC, I would not order it like this. The name also slightly confuses me because there's also the Sport Classic, which is another special low-run Porsche 911 model, right? That was the turbo with the manual transmission, but the new GT3 SC 4-liter flat six top down, they borrowed some parts from the ST to bring the weight down, so they, with the mechanism for the convertible top, they didn't want to bring the weight too much up, but open top version of the 911 GT3. It seems like people were asking for this. Definitely a very bold color combo that definitely would turn heads, but I'm personally not sure how many people would order it in a color combo like this. And now Lamborghini with one of the big reveals here at the Quail, the Revuelto SV, Super Veloce, following the steps of the Aventador SV, Murcielago SV. So slightly more hardcore, a little bit more lightweight, more aggressive aero, a little bit more power. That is the formula. Up front, we've got some visual change. You see the front blade is a bit more of an angle, and this one's got a two-tone finish with the red, gold stripe, and the black. Honestly, the regular Revuelto is already so aggressive. They only tweaked this slightly. It doesn't visually look that much more intense to my eyes, right? The front splitter, maybe a little bit more, but overall, just slight tweaks. Now, we do have center lock wheels. Looks like 650 newton meters of torque to tighten those. We've got massive carbon ceramic brakes, pretty cool wheel design. These are Bridgestone Potenza Race R tires, really aggressive slicks, 20-inch up front, 265, of course. Revuelto doors that go up, although over time they've gradually started going further and further out. The older ones were more vertical. They've started to angle out a little bit more. Let's take a peek at the interior. Much more aggressive carbon buckets as to be expected with an SV model. So little tweaks here and there just to make it more aggressive, although why are there floor mats? I seem to recall in the previous SV, there were no floor mats to save weight. So this is a little bit less aggressive, I guess. A look at the rear. We have a massive fixed carbon fiber wing that replaces the active one on the regular Revuelto. It is really cool to be able to look right here and see the top of that V12, tons of carbon fiber. The gold surrounds on the exhaust tips are pretty cool. A little warning, don't touch, it would be hot. Slightly more aggressive diffuser. They've got these gold accents on this one and a gold Lamborghini badge in the middle. But I'll be honest, like, it doesn't look tremendously more visually aggressive, especially compared to how an Aventador and an Aventador SV differed, SVJ versus the Aventador S, Murcielago LP640 versus the Mercy SV, and so forth, right? I think it's because the base Revuelto was already so aggressive looking, so over the top with all the crazy curves and angles that the SV treatment wasn't going to give as much differentiation. Now, I'm sure driving-wise, dynamically-wise, it's lighter weight, more hardcore, more aggressive, stickier tires, a bit more power. It will be definitely very, very impressive. Now, tomorrow I am getting an opportunity to get up close with this Revuelto SV at the Lamborghini Villa. We'll be getting a walk-around tour from their head of design, learning a bit more about the sculpting, the details, and things like that. So definitely check out that video, but this is just a super quick first look, just revealed here at the Quail, the launch of the Revuelto SV. So clearly they're going back to the regular model SV pattern. Aventador kind of broke that with the Aventador SV, and then the S, and then the SVJ, right? We got the top tier SVJ. I have heard rumors that we're going to be having the Revuelto SV, and then they're moving on to another model because they skipped the Revuelto Roadster. I don't think we're getting a convertible version of it, which I'm actually a little bit surprised about, but I could be proven wrong. Those are just rumors that I'm hearing. Other cars on the Lamborghini display, we have the new Urus SE Performante. So they've applied the Performante treatment to the mid-cycle refresh Urus SE, which is now a plug-in hybrid, similar to the previous Urus Performante and the Huracan Performante. Lightweight, more carbon. This hood is nicely vented with this contrast here. I think that actually looks really cool up front. Now, the newer Urus SE, I think, looks a little bit less aggressive compared to the first generation when it first launched. The crease down the middle, I don't know, some of the little things don't look quite as aggressive to me, but right here in a very Lamborghini appropriate, bright lime green, the Performante treatment definitely looks the part. We got two wings, right? You got one carbon wing up here and then another carbon wing back here. Massive carbon diffuser. Lamborghini Akrapovic exhaust to make that twin turbo V8 sound nice and beastly. I have spent time with the regular Urus SE and it's a beast. plug-in hybrid, right? But that doesn't take away from the whole Lamborghini experience. It is a rocket ship. It is so fast, so loud, but then it has the other personality. Like, you use it as a comfortable, luxurious daily driver. It has usable EV mode up to 87 miles an hour in electric mode. You can plug it in and theoretically drive around in electric mode with usable range too. But I mean, it's still Lamborghini ultimately, and they must do Lamborghini things. It still fulfills that personality requirement. And then on the very other side of the Lamborghini booth, let's make our way over. You can tell Lamborghini is a popular brand because even after the reveal, this place is still packed with people. We have a special version of the Temerario. So this is the new baby entry-level Lamborghini, replacing the Huracan, following the Gallardo. This one is the Tricolore. So they've done a couple of these before with just the Italian flag accents. We've got the blue-white contrast, which is pretty cool, and then the Italian stripe that goes all the way, I assume, over, but I guess it's black here and then carbon or engine. So yeah, it's actually just on the front. But the Temerario Tricolore, man, that's a lot of syllables. Anyways, I am personally a really big fan of the Temerario styling. Another car just like that Aston where that's the entire rear tire exposed, right? There's like no coverage. So if you buy a Temerario, I would recommend you put like 3 layers of PPF back there because you're gonna be kicking up rocks. And if you are driving behind a Temerario, keep a very far distance because that will be throwing up rocks like it's a gravel cannon. Anyways, I personally think the Temerario looks really cool. 4-liter twin-turbo V8 replacing the 5.2-liter naturally aspirated V10, a glorious engine. But this thing revs to 10,000 RPM. It's like 789 horsepower on its own, plus the hybrid system. Crazy, crazy fast. It shoots flame stock. And I think the design has more of an echo of the Gallardo, just the way the side profile is, the proportions. Personally, it has really, really grown on me. I am a big fan. The socket headlights, recessed in the slit, and then the hexagonal floating DRLs down there. So looks like they've launched a special version of the Temerario Tricolore. We've got the Revuelto SV and the Urus SE. Another one of the very exciting reveals is right here in the middle of the field from GMA, Gordon Murray. First of all, we have a nice lineup of customer T50s. 3-seater, the central seating position, naturally aspirated V12, manual transmission, different customer specs right here. This one in green is the Le Mans GTR. Looks like an experimental prototype, XP1. So they're working on getting this thing running. Oh, look at that mess of cables down there. This thing does look really cool, even more aggressive. But they have a third new car revealed up here in the middle, the new S1. So it's the more road-going version of what they launched here last year, the S1 LM, right? This one, wow. Spiritual successor to the F1, just like kind of the T50. I mean, Gordon Murray has the credentials to do that, but this thing is beautiful. I actually like the styling way more than the regular T50. The proportions just work a little bit better. Lots of F1 inspired cues for sure. And of course, the three wide seating with the main driver position right in the middle. I believe there are 64 of these that will be made, and they are all sold out. Wow, this thing looks beautiful. Like a modernized F1. We have the roof scoop up there in the middle, and then this rear end design. I love the way like the horizontal lines cut through the taillights, the circular taillights, quad exhaust tips in the middle, an S1 badge right there, with of course that glorious naturally aspirated V12 in the back. Man, this thing actually looks spectacularly nice. We also have the similar windows, just like on the F1. Senna also gets windows like that. NACA duct there, openings everywhere for airflow. You can actually see through over there. One really big difference between the S1 and the other GMA cars like the T50, actually this is the only one, is the fan back here. So both from a visual and a mechanical standpoint, that does make the T50 very, very unique back here with that integrated fan. It definitely impacts the styling, the functionality, the engineering. Quick peek inside through that little half window.
So here we are. This is here. This is our third creation under the name Solitaire Program. Solitaire Program is dedicated for the ultimate coach building with the Bugatti name. Obviously, it's dedicated for our only very selected and very privileged customer. And we are developing and we are involving the customer since day one. So from the very beginning, the customer get the chance to access the design team under the leadership of our design director, Frank Heil. And here I am, Clark. I'm the lead exterior designer of the Distir. So there's no other project which is more dreamy than this here because of its proportion. As you can see, the car is underpinning the Bugatti Bolide, the most extreme race machine we ever produced. As you can see, starting from the front, we have the very iconic horseshoe and all the elements like the fuselage of the hood and the very precise milled aluminum metal line is buried 0.5 millimeter underflush with the bodywork to give this level of precision everywhere. Everything, as you can see, goes to our iconic horseshoe in a very three-dimensional way. Everything serves a purpose. At the same time, we keep everything as elegant as it can be. And as you can see, this is our brand new form language, which we are introducing a very sharp crease line starting from this 16 light blade headlight. So very sharp crease line starting here, and then it goes all the way to the side muzzle, and then very gracefully blend into the C-line intake. And then it is very unusual for you to see a car which has a rear fender higher than the DLO. So this is a pure sketch in reality. No car would ever have this point higher than this point. And the total height of the vehicle above the driver's head is 99 centimeters, which is the lowest Bugatti we ever made.
Oh my gosh.
So everything bespoke from the exterior paint, we call it Sapphire Celeste. As you can see, it has this kind of almost diamond-ish sparkles under the sunlight. Absolutely amazing. And then it flows itself into this kind of a tinted carbon fiber. Inside, we have the Amber Voyage. This is our main interior theme. Most precious leather, nubuck, and this kind of a 3D knitting with the integration of the copper yarn. So under the sunlight, it gives a lot of preciousness. And as you can see here, hand-beaten hammer texture. Wow. So we really want to show our craftsmanship. You can see this detail everywhere in the center of the steering wheel, the air vents as well. On the rear, as you can see, we have a very sensual volume in combination with this kind of a very modern, very precise technicality. The light blade itself is elevated and floating in between the outlet here. As you can see, it's shaped actually in a wing profile shape underneath, and the light blade is as thin as you can think of. The rear diffuser perfectly seamlessly blend into the carbon wheel arch liner inside. So everything is so three-dimensional, even at the detail that you don't see. 3D printed rear exhaust pipe, and the rear engine cover fully milled out of a solid aluminum block, and a hand-hammered beaten texture, as you can see, with the W16 and a 16-cylinder layout. That little dots, it's a little Easter egg. This is the ultimate package as a designer you can think of, no? The lowest Bugatti we've ever produced. And the most amazing thing is that when you do exterior sketches, you always exaggerate everything. But here, all your exaggeration came in 3D exactly as you sketch. The car from every angle is a sketch on its own. For me, there's no other, let's say, this is for me beyond dream, no?
All right, that was pretty special. Hearing from the guy that literally was the lead designer for this amazing one-of-one Bugatti, the Destrier. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. It is named after the strongest type of horse a medieval knight would ride, which is just a really, really cool thing. Let's get up close and take a look at some other details. The curves and proportions are unbelievable. Little touches like the French flag right here, the blue carbon showing through on the side skirt. The wheels themselves also have blue accents. Clark was saying one of the challenges is just the volume back here. Like the fenders are so big and they're so curvy, but you don't want the car to look too fat. So the way it's all sculpted in, it continues onto the wing here, that piece of inlaid aluminum that runs along the length of the vehicle. So many openings that just sculpted by air. And then we've got a badge right here, Destrier 1 of 1, the Bugatti logo. and then Solitaire. That is the one-off program from Bugatti. This is the third vehicle. So we had the Roulard, the green one, and then there was the Veyron homage, the red one, and now this one based off the Bolide. This interior is fascinating because if you look at a Bolide, it is straight up race car. This still has some race car elements, right? We've got the harness here, but this woven material, the logo embossed or embroidered on the headrest and all the blue carbon. This is sort of a seat, but it's more just like pieces of a seat attached to the carbon tub. Getting in and out of this thing looks like it would take some acrobatics for sure. The pedal box is just deep down in there, but every detail on a car like this is taken care of. Obviously, it's a Bugatti. Even like we were showing the hammered pieces on the air vents. The air vents look racy. They look like exhaust tips on the interior. We've got these physical buttons there in the middle. Ignition, that looks like a key right there. And the race steering wheel. The Tourbillon now also has doors like this. The Chiron had conventional doors. The front horseshoe grows a little bit wider than the one on the Bolide, so it's been restyled, definitely unmistakably based off the Bolide. Just the proportions, like Clark was saying, it is so low. It's under a meter tall. This is such a low car. It is a race car, but the elegance and the rebodying and the redesigning of it turns into just one of the most beautiful things that I have seen from Bugatti. Absolutely amazing. What a machine, and what a cool opportunity to first of all see it here at the Quail, but also get an up-close walk-around tour from a lead exterior designer. So because this is mechanically based off the Bolide, we have an 8-liter quad-turbo W16, an engine that traces its roots back to the Chiron and the Veyron, which has now been replaced by the V16 and the Tourbillon. But because this is mechanically a Bolide underneath, it is quad-turbo W16 only. No hybridization like the new Tourbillon, so it's about like 1,600 horsepower. Now in terms of the price, there is no price because it's sold commission one of one to a ultra VIP client. This is one of those cars that you get to do when you have already bought many Bugattis. If I had to just completely pull out a number and guess, it's got to be, I mean, something like this got to be at least $20 million. I think that was like the rumored pricing with the previous Solitaire one-of-one programs, but to commission a full custom one-off, I'm sure that client has spent many millions of dollars with Bugatti. But another quad-turbo W16 special one-off, the Bugatti Destrier. Bugatti Destrier. That thing. It's so cool. Spyker is back with the C8 Prelator 25. I think I pronounced that correctly. They even have the XXV in the headlights 25. It looks like it's strobing on camera. It's not like that in person. Green with the Rolls Gold. Look at that front grille. The Spyker logo. Wow, the design definitely evokes the previous C8 for sure. We have the butterfly doors. Spyker's always had so much personality, such a unique vehicle. It's a bummer that they took such a gap in production, right? We have this reverse hinge clamshell back here. Tons of rose gold accents. What do the rear taillights look like? Whoa, that's actually, they look like tunnels. Wow. The interior was always one of the highlights with Spykers. They still have that crazy exposed shifter, and then all the switches and little gauges. Wow, that still looks very cool. Definitely excited to learn more about the return of Spyker. Roof has some customer cars on display here. There's a CT3 Evo there, CTR Anniversary, Rodeo, which is my personal favorite roof. I just love the whole lifted safari look for a sports car. We got the suspension lift, the knobby tires, and of course still the roof proportions, the performance and everything, just like a Huracan Storado, the whole safari sports car supercar. I am a big fan of that. But the big news is over here, this is new Era, their new Era model, EHRA. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's named after that very famous track where a lot of top speed runs have been set. So this is widened pretty significantly compared to the regular CTR. We have a twin turbo flat six back here developed by Roof, making 650 horsepower, manual transmission, and of course the full roof treatment. Pretty cool to see this thing where it looks like a Porsche 911, but it is completely different, right? They have a legendary name in history. One thing I wish we could have seen here is they have a flat 8 they've developed that they had at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and from the videos it sounded like it was insane, but unfortunately not on display here, but still pretty good lineup from Roof. Morgan with the +4, but the big news here is the Super Sport, and this is coming to America. Finally, we are getting the Super Sport. This thing looks so cool. It's like the big brother to the +4, and I love the rear end, the way it just tapers back here. Such a cool look. I really hope I can drive one of these because I drove the Plus 4 and it was just such a blast. Not the fastest thing in the world, but I had the biggest grin on my face the entire time I was driving a Plus 4. We have the Bizzarini here. This is a 60-year-old car design that has been finally brought to life. An exterior design sketch from I'm sorry, I butchered his name, but the very famous designer. It's got a naturally aspirated 5.3-liter V8 underneath, some modern things to the chassis and things like that, manual transmission, but from a styling standpoint, the exterior sheet metal preserving that design into the modern era. It's got the Targa top, so the hoop back there with the glass and then the roof panels that come out. Pretty cool seeing a 60-year-old car design finally brought to life in the modern era. The show is starting to wrap up with the awards, but we've got this row of amazing cars still, so let's quickly walk down and check them out. De Tomaso P72, I think one of the most beautiful car designs, but I wish it came with the V12. They did that for like the race version, but the road version has a 5-liter V8. Another GMA T50. I wonder why is this guy over here and not with the rest of the T50s? A pair of Murcielago SVs. This one here is actually owned by my friend Mark and is a gated conversion. So you see the gated manual transmission. V12 Vantage S in this color with a manual transmission. That's a unicorn. Ferrari Pista. Balboni back there. Another Pista Spider. We've got Mura, love that green. GTD Golf livery color. Compared to some of these other supercars, this, oh my god, the GTD looks absolutely humongous compared to the Mura. I mean, yes, it's a very, very big vehicle, but very capable. We've got the Lazante, what is it, the 9559? Yes, I got the name right. Lazante 9559, they take a McLaren 750S, and with their expertise, I've done so many things, road legal, converting everything from P1 GTRs to a Bugatti Bolide, and they have actually re-engineered, kind of designed their own supercar, hypercar. So a lot of McLaren Qs, like look at the headlights, those look like the McLaren swoosh, but Lazante has done their own special touches to it, and it is a 3-seater now, which I imagine would take a lot of re-engineering. So we got the seat in the middle. A lot of 3-seat center cars coming, 3-seat center driver cars coming out now. You got the GMAs, you got this thing. McLaren did the Speedtail. So a lot of things get tweaked. You can see underneath how it was still a 750S, but they have done a bunch of different things to make it kind of their own. We have SF90XX, a GTD full liquid carbon. That's all exposed carbon fiber. They offered it on the Ford GT, the latest generation, and also on the GTD. That does look really cool. And then we have ourselves a ZR1X Quail edition, which is very fitting to be here at the Quail. They revealed this last year here at the Quail, so a special limited run. You see a little plaque right there. It comes in satin silver, like this blade silver. That's a full matte finish from the factory. The ZR1X, only convertible though, so no coupe. So you notice the one thing with the ZR1X, if you get the coupe, there's another like shoulder intake here, but you lose that when you do the hardtop convertible, but still the massive carbon aero pack. Very, very cool. We've got some older Jags XJR 15, a pair of them. That's got to be pretty rare. The McLaren P1, and oh my god, the Lamborghini Sesto Elemento. There are now some converted road legal versions of this radical Lamborghini. Sesto Elemento is a 6th element, so carbon fiber. This is from 2010, 2011, so 15, 16 years ago. Carbon technology has really advanced, but this was really just embracing carbon fiber everything based on the Gallardo, right? So not the V12s. Usually the Lamborghini few-off special runs are based off the V12 flagships. Of this one was the V10 Gallardo, but they completely rebodied the car in fully exposed carbon, and this was a race car. When it came out, it was not street legal, it was not meant to be registered, it was just this like super low volume special science experiment, and now there are people who have road legal converted them, and they're driving them around on the road. Absolutely wild to see these things. Like the whole back of the transmission is hanging out there, carbon here, the tires, those are the taillights, the exhaust tips exit underneath the wing. We've got the hexagon showing the V10 underneath, but what's even crazier, like the interior, these aren't even real windows, race car windows, right? Look at these side view mirrors, and inside there is no dashboard, just this carbon scaffolding for lightweight. The seats aren't even like real seats, it's just like little cushions stuck to the carbon tub. Seeing a Sesto Elemento out here is, I mean, a couple years ago they started popping up. I never thought I would see one outside of Lamborghini mini museum. But here is the Sesto Elemental at the Quail, and we saw this driving around on the roads of Pebble Beach earlier. Look, we found a couple Bugattis, starting with the Chiron Supersport owned by Sparky. This is a Chiron Supersport Extreme. There's a pair of them. This Supersport in all blue carbon fiber and a Pure Sport in black carbon with red accents, because when you can't decide if you want a Supersport or a Pure Sport, you order both. They named them the Extreme because it has every single carbon option possible. So as lightweight as possible. The interior is all just carbon, but the spec on this one with the blue carbon weave, I love how the stripes just fade away here into the carbon, is absolutely spectacular. You get the little speed holes here for the Super Sport, the extended length. Yeah, that is amazing. We have ourselves another Veyron Supersport, also blue carbon. Blue carbon seems to become rather popular, right? And then a Pagani Zonda, also in blue carbon, the Zonda MD. Pagani's not here, but we still have a Pagani. We get to see a Pagani. There's a Huayra over there, so I can still be happy. Every high-end hypercar manufacturer is represented here. They've got cars on display. The Quail just does not miss out on anything. One of one, Zonda MD. I don't know if I could decide if Pagani carbon is better, Bugatti carbon is better, Koenigsegg carbon is better. The Zonda MD, owned by Faster LLC. We have an SP3 Daytona in blue carbon. Is this just a blue carbon category, I guess? Like, this is, again, blue carbon weave. This looks like a tighter weave. At first, from far away, you might be like, oh, that's blue paint. Nope, that is blue carbon fiber, painted Scuderia shields, the full blue interior. SP3 values are also just skyrocketing, because if you look at the lineage, we had F40, F50, Enzo, LaFerrari, and then the F80, right? F80 engineering impressive, race car heritage with whatever, but like, you know, twin turbo V6 doesn't have the same draw as the naturally aspirated V12. And even if the LaFerrari was hybrid, it still had the V12, right? And the SP3, even though it technically doesn't follow that lineup of Ferrari hypercars, is part of the Icona series, the SP1, SP2 Monza, SP3. I think from a styling standpoint, it is beautiful. Pure NA V12. Every angle of this is amazing. So I think Daytonas, I wouldn't be surprised if they grow in value more than the F80 does. We'll get an SP4 soon at some point, I'm sure. They're kind of keeping them separate, the Icona line from the kind of regular Halo hypercars. Anyways, Daytona SP3. Another blue carbon car, the Huayra BC, owned by Faster LLC. Huayra BC is one of my absolute dream cars. If I won the lottery, McLaren P1, Huayra BC. No hesitation. It's just so beautiful. Twin turbo V12. Every detail on a Pagani is absolute artwork. It may not be quite the science experiment, mad engineering that Koenigsegg presents, but I just think that the beauty, the artistry, the little details on Paganis. I love the leather straps that hold panels shut, the wing mirrors, everything, the carbon, beautiful. And last but not least, another Veyron, this time Vitesse. Again, of course, blue carbon, open top, blue accents on the interior. Just when you thought the Quail was over and there wasn't anything else cool to see, you come to the back corner here by one of the food tents that I did not have time to go eat at, and you see this lineup of blue carbon hypercar royalty. The tiny little McMurtry Spearling has a production version, and here it is. It has grown just slightly from the initial development car, but they've made it road legal, and it is orderable, purchasable by customers. The famous fan car that suctions itself down onto the road and can take turns at a speed that embarrasses a GT3 RS. These things look like they're going in fast forward. I was at the Goodwood Festival of Speed when they were running these up the hill and it was raining. The plume of spray that came from behind this thing was crazy, just because of that giant fan suctioning this thing down onto the road. Another year, another Quail. As always, an amazing event. I did my best to try to capture everything, but it's almost impossible to film every single car, but we definitely got the highlights, and this is for sure the best place to be to see the coolest new supercars and hypercars of this year, coming out later this year and into the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.